I never fucked anybody over in my life. Didn't have it coming to me. You got that? All I have in this world is my balls and my word. And I don't break them for no one. You understand?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I work for Kaiser Soze.
Tu me déçois énormément.
I work for Kaiser Soze.
Je suis colère, les enfants, je suis colère.
Hey there everyone, welcome to Admit 1, your movie ticket. I'm your host Jim. So today's episode is going to be a little different. So I'm going to the Phoenix Film Festival later this week, and we had a chance to talk with the festival director, Jason Carney. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to conduct the interview myself, but Constantly Calibrating's CEO, owner, editor-in-chief, Josh Silverman was able to do that for me. So let's listen in, and I hope you enjoy it.
So yeah, let's start things up. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another interview from Constantly Calibrating. As always, sometimes I'm your host for this, Josh Silverman, and I am chatting with Jason Carney of Phoenix Film Festival. Jason, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Getting ready for the festival. Less than a week away. It's kind of the countdown time now.
Yeah, the festival runs. Okay, I know the start date. I know it starts on the 6th, but what's the full run time for the festival? We
start on April 6th and finish up the following Thursday on April 13th. So 8 solid days of movie fun.
It's one of those things that, we've been covering this for a couple of years now. I was in Jim there, and every single time he starts saying, okay, I'm going to start doing the festival stuff today, and then he'll say, okay, I've got all my coverage at the end. I'm like, wait, holy crap, I did not remember that this was over a week-long experience. Because it's just, it's understandable with the sheer amount of films coming out from all these different avenues, but it's sometimes hard to think about just how long a film festival can be, particularly if you are going to either, well, in your case, run it or covering so much of it.
Yeah, back in the day, when we first started out, it was 3 days, and I think we kind of worked our way to 4, and now we're at 8, and maybe at some point in the hopefully not too distant future, we'll expand out and go a second weekend and make it an 11-day festival.
I think
that's where we max out. I think
that's at that point is a pretty good length to keep things at. So
yeah, you get 2 weekends in. It's kind of nice, so that works out. There's other festivals like, gosh, Seattle. I feel like it's like a month long. It's insane. I would lose my mind.
Well, it's one of those things that, you reach a certain point that, if you keep it in the under, the 2 weekends kind of span that you're talking about, it's like that's still something people can attend for the whole thing. You can make time, whether as an attendee or a press individual, or even as a person in the festival. Like that gives you time to do stuff. But you reach longer than that, I feel like you're just taking off so much time. Movies are great, don't get me wrong, but that's a lot of time for just straight back to back to back.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, we'll, when we get to that point, we'll have to figure out staffing and all that business. But, I think that's about it. Like 11 days is the most days I feel like I can run on adrenaline. But after that, I got to sleep.
I get that. So we talked a little bit about the, theoretical futures and stuff like that. But can you give me a brief history of the Phoenix Film Festival?
Oh, the festival started way back in 2001. It was downtown in the old, the Arizona Center Theater. And so we were down there for the first 3 years, and we had, 3,000 people the first year, and then it kind of inched its way up 1,000 a year. And then when we moved out to the Scottsdale 101, the Harkins Theater, it just kind of exploded. It really took off, and, because downtown is nothing like it is now. So, moving up here was a huge jump in attendance for us. I know we jumped up from like 5 to 7 and then to 11. And now last year we were at 25,000 people. And so, it's been a really good progressive growth. You had the hiccups there during the recession where nobody was doing great attendance numbers. But since then, we've just had really nice growth for our event, both in terms of attendance and quality of film. We've been really lucky to get the stuff we get.
Yeah, I know. I've been editing our film. Not really sure what Jim's title actually is anymore, but our film guy Jim Lincoln. I've been editing all of his stuff he's produced on different films, and it sometimes blows my mind just the diverse range of content of films that come through Phoenix Film Festival.
Yeah, and I think this year it's even more so, because we've got, your comedies, your drama, we've got, some fresh international stuff, some really cool documentaries. We've got like an action adventure movie. It's really interesting how it's all come together. We've got a couple of like period pieces and things like that. It's just, it's really nice how it's worked out for us this year.
It's kind of the something for everyone kind of vibe.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, every time I say it, I feel like a jerk, like using the same cliche, but it's true, especially like this year is just insane with the variety of stuff we've got.
Well, hey, there's nothing wrong with cliches. It's what I've always said. Cliches exist because, some things are true. So I think having such a diverse film range really allows both for you guys to, bring in a diverse crowd of people and diverse amount of people, but it also allows, somebody who maybe wouldn't be into a period piece and is, maybe that guy who's, just that almost stereotypical action adventure only guy. He's like, I'm at the film festival. I need to, kill some time. Oh, there's this period piece. I guess I could go see that. And maybe they discover a new genre of film that they never knew they were interested in.
Yeah, very true. That happens quite a bit. People are like, they get interested in one film, they come out here, and then they get hooked. And next year, they're buying the VIP pass, taking a week off from work. It's just the vibe and the sense of community of film lovers. It just really, gets people excited for the festival. Once they get here, they just get sucked in and we're glad to give them all the movies they want. Like kind of a good example this year, we have a golf movie set in the late 1800s called Tommy's Honor, which is our closing festival. And I think that's the kind of film that'll get the guys excited for the golf and the women excited because it's a nice period piece with some romance in it.
I mean, it sounds, that's actually really cool. And it's also just a really unique idea on things, so I like it. So what is the process for Phoenix Film Festival with when it comes to, I guess, vetting and choosing what you're going to showcase, what's going to be part of the show?
Oh, sure. We have our competition films, and these are films that come in from around the world, and we end up with maybe 1,400 submissions in all our categories combined, and from there, once those films we have a committee that kind of narrows it down to 50 different volunteers that view films, and from there the best of the best goes to the programmers for each category, and programmers then kind of select the best. They make their playlist, so to speak, and that's our competition films, and our higher profile showcase films. That's kind of my gig, and I'm responsible for working with the studios and small distributors and things like that to kind of bring in some higher profile films and some, and recruit some other films, I hear some good things about or sound really interesting to give us, a wider variety of content.
That's actually that's cool. So you mentioned yourself, how did you become part of the Phoenix Film Festival? Well,
it's interesting because the very first year, the festival was started by Golan Ramris and Chris Lamont, a couple filmmakers, and my buddy Greg Hall, who I went to high school with. He was roommates with Chris at the time, and Greg jumped on as program director the first year, and a couple weeks before the festival, he was like, "Hey, you want to come on out and be part of this festival, help out?" And I was like, "I don't know what a film festival is, but we're going to hang out. We're going to have some good times. All right, I'm in." And I got hooked. Greg and I it was that first year, everyone's kind of trying to figure out what they're supposed to do, and we just kind of jumped in running the theater operations teams. Over the next couple of years as a volunteer, I just gained more responsibility, became a programmer, still kept running theaters, running the awards. And then in 2005, I became the executive director, and this became my full-time gig.
Well, I mean, that's quite the fun journey. I just like the idea that you just kind of started out not really knowing quite what to make of a film festival, and growing to enjoy what you're doing and growing to find this purpose that it is now your full-time gig. I like that kind of that career arc, as it were.
Yeah, it's pretty, because I always loved movies, and so it just made, it just worked out. And before that, I was also producing a community theater company. So it's it's a whole ball of wax and a bunch of different work. So it's kind of, I had a lot of experience working with artists and things. So it just it was just a natural I love working with artists and I love being organized. So that's a nice balance for me doing this.
Yeah, it seems like a fairly not too difficult transition from the theater to this kind of thing.
Yeah, I also worked in healthcare management at the time when I was a volunteer. So I was running a department with like 35 people. So I had that whole budgeting and all that business side of things to bring along to this. So that and project management, which is what a film festival is. You're kind of managing a big project. So being able to bring those skills together is a great opportunity for me, and I love it.
Well, best of many worlds. So speaking of managing and putting stuff together, about how early in the year do you and your team start planning the upcoming year's festival?
It really starts, in August when we open for submission. So we do a call for entries, opens early August, and then in August we start working on our developing our ideas for our ad campaign and what we're going to do for that year with our design team and our marketing folks. We kind of get together, brainstorm, come up with kind of the art ideas, and then we turn it over to the artists, and they work on that for about 2 months or so, 2 to 3 months to kind of firm it up. But, and we start working on sponsorships, working on sponsors in like September. And then, we're watching films the whole time, and film entries end in December. And then, once that calendar year turns, we start getting close to selecting films. We start working closer with sponsors, all of our volunteers coming on board. It's like once January 1st turns, it's like, all right, we're going fast. Here we go. It's coming up. We got to get going. And it's crazy from January till the end of the festival.
That's actually that's a pretty outstanding kind of way of doing things. I like the structure of that. So then just out of curiosity then, so the festival runs, in April every year, and you really start going in August. What is happening in that intervening months in between the end of the last festival and the upcoming one? I'm just, if anything, really.
Some sleep? No.
Wait. You're getting sleep? That I didn't sign up for this.
I don't have a little kid at home, so I'm okay right now. But, once the festival wraps, there's a lot of we've got to ship films back. We've got to ship some trophies out. We've got to ship, marketing materials out. So there's a lot of that kind of thing and after the festival, we're all pretty wiped out. So we're kind of working at half pace. So that takes a little time. And then we start working on our wrap up reports, all the finances in May. And then in June is like our big budgeting month. And then at the end of June and through July, we have, high school film camps here at the office. So that keeps us busy, and sometimes that makes me work from home, but I don't mind that. But kind of like May to July is a lot of paperwork, and film camps is pretty much kind of the focus of those few months. And a vacation. That's when I get out of town for a couple of weeks.
Not bad. So what would you say is the most difficult aspect of putting this whole festival together? Like, what's most difficult? There's a couple things like the thing I probably dread the most is having to because we get 1,400 submissions and only about 100 make it, so we've got to send out all those rejection emails, and so that's getting responses back from that are tough to handle, because nobody wants to be rejected. Everybody thinks their movie is good, and it's just not. Sometimes it's really good but not quite good enough, or maybe, the person programming it wasn't their taste. And so trying to deal with the feedback from the filmmakers, I totally get why they're upset. It just sucks because we'd like to show everybody's film, and it doesn't, the good guy in me hates to be that bad guy for a week or two, when we send out rejections. And the other thing, probably the hardest thing I have to do for the festival wise, in terms of tasks, is our festival, program, our festival brochure, kind of putting that beast together, because, it's 60, especially this year we had, so many films. It's 64 pages just full of so many film details, program ads, sponsor stuff, things like that. And so that's when I get that done, I'm like, okay, now we can have a film festival and I can enjoy this. But that thing is a beast. So then,
but then it looks pretty, so it's worth it.
Well, yeah. And I mean, a good brochure, who doesn't love a good brochure?
Yeah, exactly.
So from the standpoint of the festival, is there any accomplishment that you would say you're most proud of? I think it's the team we built. We have a great, we
we only have 2 full-time employees, myself and our development director, Leanne. But we have like a leadership team of volunteers of about 45 to 50 folks. And, I've kind of put that team together. Some folks were on board before I became the executive director, but the majority of the folks are people that I've brought on board to kind of lead the team. And so I'm really proud of those folks that we brought on board. They've been great, and that's what makes this thing run. We're really lucky. The folks I've been blessed to have on our team, and I can't say enough about our team. That's they make me look good, and they make our organization look great, and I give them all the credit in the world, and that's my proudest accomplishment, especially as a leadership. Being a leader, there's nothing greater than having that feeling.
For sure. So, what would you say is the focus, if there is one, for this year's festival?
I don't think there is one because I talked about the wide variety of programming. Something that just kind of worked out. We have like so many films with "happy" in the title. We have a film called Happy. We have a film called The Happies. We have a medium length documentary called Happy. We have a film called Happy Hunting. We have a movie called A Million Happy Nows. So that was kind of dumb luck, but everybody needs a little happy in their lives. But that wasn't we never try to go in with a theme or anything like that. And even the wide variety of programming, it just kind of worked out organically, and that's what I like. We want to program the best films possible, and when it works out where we have such a variety, that makes me feel really good about our team, what they've done programming wise. Because our program directors are just really themselves. They're a diverse group of people. So it's kind of funny because sometimes they don't like what the others have chosen for film content, but that's kind of what it's all about. Not everybody likes the same films. And so, it's really cool to just see their personalities come out in their films. And I think something cool we did, pushing that way to get that variety this year is we did this new program called Unified by Film, where we did new categories for filmmakers that are directors that are Native American, Latino American, and African American. We wanted to really get the U.S. Perspective from people from other communities and other cultures, and to get directors with that experience, and show their films. I think it's something cool that we're doing for the first time this year, and I know our programmers are really proud of what they picked.
That's great. I like that. And I'm just thinking also, and just, you'd mentioned earlier in that there's so many films with the word happy, you'd almost think that there was some people upset in the world these days that need a little more happy in at least in their titles.
I'd love to say that's why we did it, but
no, I'm not even saying that you guys did that. I'm just saying that there were enough quality submissions that incorporated the word happy into their title. I think most people kind of think we could use a little bit more happy in the world right now. So I'm all for it. So well, speaking of happy, what do you personally hope attendees of the Phoenix Film Festival get out of the experience?
No, I think it's really just having a good time and getting to interact with the filmmakers is what it is. What it's all about. We try to bring in as many filmmakers as we can to participate in Q&As, and it works out. I think we have, between shorts and features, almost 100 filmmakers that'll be here for the festival. And so that's really great because that's kind of what a festival is about. And especially our festival is we try to be more inclusive than exclusive. And so we want our audiences to feel like they didn't have to be on a list to watch a movie or go to a party. We want them just to be able to come out and soak it all in. And, they're going to be in line. They might be in line with the filmmaker movie they just saw, because our filmmakers end up getting involved and really going to see each other's films, which really, just makes the vibe that much cooler.
Okay. So a couple more questions for you. So I was looking through the press releases and things like that. So I wanted to see, can you tell me a little bit about the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival and how it fits in with Phoenix Film Festival itself?
Back in the day, it was a separate event for a few years, until around, I think, 2011. It just got to be, the Phoenix Film Festival grew so much that we had to start so much earlier to plan. It was really hard to do a horror festival in October when we're in the midst of Phoenix Film Festival planning. And so the idea, we were like, okay, we should really make it as part of the Phoenix Film Festival to broaden our programming. And so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have one theater that's committed to all horror and sci-fi content. And then late in the evening on Friday and Saturday, we have, we'll show 3 or 4 horror and sci-fi films. And, Monty Yazzie, he's our, director of that end of things. And, he did a nice job of bringing in some really cool films this year. He's got a film called Dave Made a Maze, which is about this guy that builds a, cardboard maze. And then it's basically like almost kind of like a TARDIS where it's bigger on the inside. And so, this whole world, and it kind of got this sci-fi horror thing going on. It played at the Slamdance Film Festival, which is a really cool kind of edgy festival. And I think it just recently opened another festival, I think maybe Atlanta, which is a great festival. So we're really excited to have that as part of it. He scored another film called The Transfiguration, which is a vampire film. So he does, just like, there's general genres, but when you get into like the horror world, there's your slasher movie, there's your zombie movie, there's a vampire movie. And so Monty does a great job of trying to program a little bit of variety within that genre, and he's successful every year. And I think this year he's outdone himself.
So, well, is there anything particular of what's being shown in this section that you actually are most interested in?
I think that Dave Made a Maze. That's the movie I'm most interested in. The other film that seems really kind of cool is this movie called Sequence Break, which is kind of a sci-fi, involved with a video arcade technician, kind of biomechanical mutations and all this kind of crazy. It's kind of one of those, that line of sci-fi and horror. It kind of straddles it, and this filmmaker Graham Skipper, I think he's coming out for the screening as well. So that should be a fun one.
Okay, well then, what would you say sets Phoenix Film Festival apart from other festivals in the industry?
I think the biggest thing we have going is that everything takes place in one location. You go to a lot of festivals our size, you've got to go to this theater for this screening, drive over here 10 minutes for this screening. Oh, and the party tonight's over here, and the party tomorrow night's over here. And so you're kind of you're commuting in a way from event to event. So you can't really cram in as much as you can here. We're running, 6 or 7 screens in the theater, and then just outside we have the party pavilion where all the special events, parties, workshops are going on, bars, music. So when you're here, you don't have to leave anywhere else, go anywhere else. And there's so many restaurants in the area. So it's kind of one of those things. You show up at 9 a.m. for the first movie. You can stay until the party shuts down at 1 a.m. and just really, not have to worry about going off site, which really kind of also helps that sense of community because you're seeing the same people in line and, at different events all week long.
That's what I was about to say. Like I was about to bring up, it's, if you keep seeing the same people, if you keep, accidentally bumping into people at dinner every night, it's like that's going to foster a sense of community, foster friendships. And then whether you're just an attendee, you might find that person who just likes the same movies as you, or if you're a filmmaker, it's like you might find the person who you're going to write your next film with, or, that you're the star of your next film or something along those lines.
Yeah, we've had, a lot of people, a lot of the regular festival goers, they're like, it's like a reunion for them because they see all their festival buddies they stand in line with year after year. And in terms of filmmakers, there was the filmmakers really end up kind of collaborating a lot after the festival because we try to put them in an environment where they interact quite a bit. And I know there was a feature film shot last year where the director was from one film that we had, the editor was from another film we had, a couple of the actors for a different film. And so there's like 5 or 6 different films kind of coming together in this one picture. And all these people met at our festival, which is awesome.
That's a really cool thing. Plus, then that's also a great, kind of advertisement for the Phoenix Film Festival because they're mentioning in the making of their stuff that they met all here. So it's like, hey, it's like this nice little cross promotional branding thing. Now we just hope
it's good so we can show it.
There you go.
That's the rule. The alumni we're like, you come on back, but make sure it's good. And it sucks when we have to, reject an alumnus film, but when they come back, we have 2 feature films that are 3 feature films that are from alumni this year, and they did a great job, and so it's really nice to welcome them back to the festival club.
Yeah, well, you're welcoming the family home almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's a reunion, or like a wedding.
Yeah, it's
You
just
see people once a year. Some of them you avoid. The other ones you want to hang out with.
I mean, that's typical of family stuff. That's typical of convention and festival thing. It's one of the, I think, the better aspects of this whole kind of festival convention kind of culture that's really taken off. I mean, it's always been around for a long time, but really taken off in the last like 10 to 15 years is that aspect.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of our staff volunteers, they become, they develop friendships out of this. And I've met so many people that I've have great friendships with, that just, have blossomed over time. And, my buddy Greg, that's our program director, is still our program director. So, I've known him for 30 years and, which is a little bit more than 30 years now. Those relationships and friendships are great benefits of this thing.
Awesome. Well, okay. Jason, let's just to wrap this up, where can people find whatever information they would like on Phoenix Film Festival? Just anything you want to, final things you want to mention about.
Oh, yeah. You go to phoenixfilmfestival.com. If you click on festival, there's information on the films and schedule, information on tickets, workshops, panel discussions. All that business is right on the website.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining me for this lovely little chat. I can't wait to see what coverage Jim produces. And for people watching this or listening to this or however you are taking this in, make sure to stay tuned throughout the 8 days of Phoenix Film Festival, as Jim will be producing sort of content either directly for Constant Calibrating or for his own podcast, the Admit One podcast, which you can find on Constant Calibrating. And, please follow us, here if you're watching us on youtube.com/ConcalPod or anywhere else you find our content. And with that, I bid you good sign off.
All right, guys, there was that interview. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for Josh for doing that again. And look for more content on the Phoenix Film Festival coming later this week and possibly into the next couple of weeks. So until next time, that's a wrap.
Mr. Brown, that's a little too close to Mr. Shit. Are you the police?
No, man. We're musicians. I work for Kaiser Soze.
But this way, no,
I work for Kaiser Soze.
But this way, no, Here's the fucking money, shithead!